In today's video, we are talking about two things: beauty and money, both of which I have neither. Hi everyone, my name is James Robinson. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about golf clubs, just how expensive they are getting and just potentially how cheap you can get them for. You'll see in today's video, guys, we have the brand new gorgeous TaylorMade P7 MB irons, very similar irons that's used by some of the best golfers in the world. And we also have a set of Takomo 301 MB irons. Equally as good looking, equally as sexy, and to be honest, half the price pretty much. So you can get a set of the TaylorMade P7 MB irons for around £950, depending where you go. You can get a set of the Takomos for around £550, £560, depending where you go, but also depending where you are. There are sometimes import taxes and things like that to bear in mind with clubs from Takomo, so make sure you just bear that in mind. I don't know where you are, so I can't tell you exactly what they are, but it's round about half the price. Today we're going to test them for looks, we're going to test them for feel, we're going to test them for performance, both out here on the golf course and in the simulator. I've got 9 iron, 7 iron, 5 iron, so pretty much full sets of both of these clubs. Let's see exactly what the big difference is. And guys, let me know in the comments below, if you were to go with the more budget golf clubs, what would you do with that saved budget? Would you get lessons? Would you go on holiday? Would you treat the husband or wife? Or just tell me where you'd spend your green fee, because that's exactly what I would do. Sorry, Laura. But we're going to kick things off with the 9 irons, which I have here. Both these clubs look absolutely stunning. You can see just how similar they do look. Both of them have a T in the toe of the club there. Both of them have a tiny bit of a muscle back, which is what the MB stands for. You'll see the TaylorMade has more of a chrome finish on here that does kind of penetrate out a little bit, and then it's got a little bit of a brushed satin finish at the top. A stunning looking club. I don't think we can really say I've seen a better looking golf club than that. Then you look at the Takomo, and like I said, it's got a little bit of a muscle back on the back, little bit of a wider sole, interestingly there. Loft wise, the Takomos are all 1 degree stronger than the TaylorMade, so bear that in mind in the testing. It shouldn't have a huge difference. 1 degree is 1 degree, but then 1 degree is 1 degree, isn't it? Let's go Takomo first here, and actually looking down at these, they look pretty identical, I'm not going to lie to you. They look very, very similar, don't they, looking down at the ball. Now, I got the impression, actually, that the TaylorMades were a little bit of a shorter blade length, and they're actually not. They're actually very, very similar. If they are, it's a minuscule difference. I know that can make all the difference in the golf world, but guys, which ones do you think look better? I absolutely love the look of the TaylorMades. Let's get in here. We've got around 140 yards, and we're just going to try and hit some nice low ones. It's quite a breezy day here. I must admit, I would not fancy using these golf clubs if I had a card in my hand, or if I really had to try and get a score going. Let's just have a nice one to the middle of the green. That flag is tucked over to that right hand side. Okay, as a feeling golf club goes, that's about as good as you're going to get. That felt absolutely gorgeous. You can see that is dead centre of the green. It faded in nicely, actually. Really nice workability on that club. That is generally what you are paying for when you do go for clubs like this. There's no real kind of performance benefits opposed to just having a bit more workability, a bit more trajectory control. But there's no speed foam, there's no space racket, there's no... You get the idea. Let's go again. Really good looking golf club, this. That's the one that makes me realise I'm not going to use blades, and that's the one that came out in the Cobra video as well. I don't know what it is, when I get a short blade length at the minute, that's the shot that I get. A lot of people would take that out who review golf clubs, but not here on James Robinson Golf. Right, let's try and eradicate that one from the memory and just put a good golf swing on this. Better. A lot better. Now, this certainly is one of the best feeling golf clubs that I've ever tested. That's certainly what you are paying the money for TaylorMade. I think I would probably look at going P7 MC, maybe even P770 in these. Then we look at the Takomo, and it's like, right, very, very similar. If anything, a little bit more industrial looking, a little bit sharper edges. Not quite as sleek, but I don't mind that. It's like asking you which dog do you prefer. I've got 2 dogs, I love them both very much. I can't really tell you which one that I would prefer, so let's send the Takomo in. It looks a little bit more upright, this. I don't particularly mind that too much. That is gorgeous. It hasn't launched any lower, which I do really like as well. It's actually gone a little bit further. Chris, if you do the zoom for us there, you will see that's more flag high than the TaylorMade. Is that the fact it's a little bit more upright and it's held its line more? Is that the fact it's got 1 degree more loft, less loft, honestly? We'll decide that in the studio. And let's see if we can get one out the middle of the club for the second time in a row. Look at that. That was a little bit skinny. I would anticipate that might be short, but it's not. The Takomo definitely feels like it has just a touch more of an air of forgiveness about it, and I do really, really like that. I really like also how they've kind of depleted that leading edge just a little bit there. That really does help with turf interaction, and it's these little things that you have to put into a set of blades, because if you don't do that, the players who want that turf interaction are going to go, well, Titleist do that, Callaway do that, Takomo, why don't you do that? Right, that felt absolutely stunning. I'm going to put these craters back. Guys, let's jump in the studio and see what the differences are with these 9 irons, and then we'll talk longer clubs. So guys, I kicked things off with a brand new set of TaylorMade P7 MBs in the studio with the 9 iron. You can see even took the wrapper off them, and for me these sounded great, they felt great, and they looked even better. I didn't strike them all perfectly, and for me I did feel like maybe I should be getting more distance out of these than I remembered exactly what they were. I did hit a couple of good shots, so you can see this one, really, really nice numbers, landing around kind of 135, finishing 140, really close to the hole. But again, for me, that would be around a kind of hard pitching wedge. The Takomo felt just as good. It felt a little bit firmer. I didn't particularly mind that. And it was really easy to feel like I was hitting these consistently because they look so similar down at address. You can see the numbers very, very, very similar there. Similar ball speeds, spin rates pretty much identical, and just a tiny little discrepancy in distance there, but that's going to be more down to me and my strike rather than the actual club at hand. I did feel like the Takomo was maybe a little bit more forgiving, but then it spun a little bit less as well if we are picking at hairs. Okay, really interesting numbers there inside using the 9 irons. Very, very consistent numbers. It just goes to show really that, to be honest, I don't hit blades as far as I think I do. But looking at the 5 irons here, we'll go from the frying pan straight into the fire. Then we're going to hit some mid irons over on my favourite golf hole, the par 3 6th hole. Look at these components. So we've got 2 forged heads, as it says on both of the hosels there. Well, not talk hosels anymore, Chris, shall we? But we also have KBS shafts in both these clubs. We have Lamp King grips in the Tacomos, and we have TaylorMade's very own crossline grip that is made by, I should know this, Golf Pride in the TaylorMade club. So components wise, very, very similar. You've got premium shafts, premium grips, premium pretty much everything. The only real difference is the forging of the heads. The TaylorMades do feel buttery soft, I must admit. Would you pay a premium for that? Would you pay the extra money for that? Or like I said, get in the comments for guys, what would you do with the money if you wouldn't do? The big thing for me is the Tacomos still feel good. They still feel okay. I'm going to go Takomo first tier 5 iron. We're about 200 out into the par 5. They don't feel as soft. I'll hold my hands up and say that. They'll look a tiny bit more upright, but you can order them in your specs if you want to. So aside from that, you look at this top line in the 5 iron, it looks absolutely gorgeous looking down there. It's a tiny bit thicker than the TaylorMade, but I really don't mind that either. I think it actually makes it feel a little bit more forgiving, and maybe that's what's making me a little bit more confident over this club. Let's go middle of the green again with this 5 iron. That was a little bit kind of thin, a little bit heely. That's down that right hand side. It's come out by that tree. Again, blades aren't the most forgiving clubs. It's something which you have to be aware of if you are going to potentially put these in the bag. Let's try a better strike. And that's the better one. That's the one that makes you want to have these in the bag. That's going to run up to the left hand side of that green. 2 not great shots, but for me, a really, really nice feeling shot. We can see we've got a better turf interaction. This 5 iron certainly looks like it's got a little bit of a kind of shorter blade length here, and as soon as you get in the realms of 200 yards out, do you want that kind of short blade length? For me, it starts to get a little bit edgy. I start to feel like maybe I should have gone split set. Would you go split set in clubs like this? I actually hit this really good when we're in the studio, and I've actually hit it really good there. You can see that's launched a lot higher. I've pulled it just towards that bunker. That's going to be flag high in the bunker. Not too bad on this par 5. Let's go one more, give ourselves a pretty good lie, and let's see if we can work this in right to left using this tiny little 5 iron. Oh yeah, Another gorgeous strike there, again just turning over a little bit too much. Consistency wise they're very, very similar with the two TaylorMade shots. The Tacomos weren't the best strikes, but that is what you do get with a blade. Is it worth investing all this money into a set of bladed clubs? I totally get it when you have the R&D of a speed foam, when you have the R&D of kind of different weighting in golf clubs, but for a simple blade, guys, get in the comments below and let me know. Let's take a look at how these 5-irons did perform in the studio, then let's head to my favourite hole on this golf course. Okay, so another TaylorMade iron fresh out the wrapper. There is no better feeling than that. And these look fantastic. I don't need to tell you that anymore. But they actually felt really, really buttery soft, the TaylorMades as well. I really enjoyed that. And I was very, very consistent with them. I hit lots of shots that were landing near the flag, lots of shots that were the same distance, and lots of shots where I thought, could I have these in the bag? Should I have these in the bag? You can see I've hit the green there again. Moving on to the Tacomo, again, very similar looking, a little bit thicker top line, a little bit kind of a touch of offset, I will say, no real offset, but just a little bit, and a tiny what looks like longer blade length, even though scientifically I don't think it really is. I felt a little bit more comfortable, but I actually got a touch more ball speed with the TaylorMade and a touch less spin, resulting in, I'm going to say, a little bit of distance, but it's not really there. Both a 190 club for me, finishing around 200 yards. You can see that we had a tiny bit more run out with the TaylorMade because of that kind of little reducing spin. That is negligible though, it's tiny, negligible is the wrong word there, but let's move on and get outside to my favourite par 3. Okay, very interesting numbers with the 5-iron there, very different numbers from a centred strike and a non-centred strike. Let's go TaylorMade first into this par 5. We've got 170 yards, just downwind a little bit, so it should be a nice number, a tight right flag, so this should be perfect. Now, interestingly, when I went out to Rancho Santa Fe, California to test these brand new TaylorMade P7MBs when they were released, I actually hit them really, really well. Even the 3-iron I tested and I hit it really well. I'll put that on screen now if I can find the video. I'm sure I'll find the video. That's gone so much better than I thought it was going to do. But again, looking at the pricing of these, would you go for them? I think if you're a massive die-hard TaylorMade fan and you just love bladed irons, and it's almost a little bit of a no-brainer. That one wasn't the best strike, but it actually felt quite good. And you can see that is just flag high, rolling towards the centre of the green actually. Not a bad shot at all there. There certainly is a tiny bit of forgiveness in these, more so than bladed clubs of old. You can see we do have that kind of little weighting at the back there, just to help push CG down just a tiny bit. They look so good, don't they? I could move that around all day. See if we can hit one closer than that. Actually quite pleased with that result. Yeah, that's the thing, when you do use blades, you do start to just feel pleased with the result. That was lovely. This could be, if this releases out. Right, so as consistency goes there, is that going to hit my first ball? Very, very pleased with that. And when you are buying clubs like this, it is that consistency factor that you are after. Let's now have a look at the Tacomo equivalent. Again, a little bit more boxed off. It feels a little bit more user-friendly potentially. And again, with this set, you could potentially go 301 MB in the lower irons, 301 CB in the higher irons, just like you could in the TaylorMade in the P7MB and P7MC. So both brands catering for those people who just want a bit more forgiveness, potentially in the middle of the set, all those longer irons. Look how much higher that's launched. To say that that's a very similar strike and it's a little bit stronger lofted, you could literally throw a blanket over all 3 of those golf balls in the centre of that green, which really makes you wonder about the performance element and about the monetization element, which is really about what this video is all about. How much of TaylorMade's £949 is going to the marketing of them clubs, and how much of the £549 of the Tacomos is not. It's just another carbon copy. I can't believe how consistent all 4 of those shots have been. That is absolutely frightening. I mean, check that out for consistency. Guys, let's jump in the studio, let's test these mid-irons and see if there is a real difference that you're getting for your money. And let's see which one you should potentially have in your bag. Now the 7-iron is a funny club, I think, in this test, because it's the club that a lot of people may go, you know what, I will go a bladed 7-iron because I want a bladed 7-iron, and a few people might go, this is where I'm going to split my set, I'm going to have a CB 7-iron instead because I want to be able to hit that kind of 150, 160, even up to 170 shot. This was really, really consistent for me. I hit the green loads of times in a row, felt really consistent. For me, a 7-iron should be around kind of 165. A little bit more, and I'm kind of worrying that I'm not going to have enough spin. You can see there 163, a load of 163s in here, to be fair, with both the Como and the TaylorMade. Couldn't really tell a huge difference in feel. You can see we've got a touch more ball speed in the TaylorMade as opposed to the Como. Is that down to me as a ball striker? Potentially, who knows? And a little bit more spin, which I really, really enjoyed. That could be down to more ball speed though, because more ball speed is going to impart more spin on the golf ball. Very similar numbers. The Tacoma was a kind of 160 club, 159 carry. The TaylorMade 163, so a tiny bit more. Is that down to the help in the club? Is that down to me? Guys, get in the comments below and let me know, what do you think? So guys, there we go. A pretty comprehensive review there of the TaylorMade P7 MB and the Tacoma 301 MB irons. Which ones would you go with? Would you go with a bladed iron? Would you want a little bit more forgiveness? What do you think to those numbers and what do you think to those prices? Apart from that, guys, thank you so much for watching. Smash that subscribe button if you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all at the same time tomorrow. Goodbye.